We know the numbers. Women are pushing back having kids. Women are focused on careers. Well, in episode number 202, I'm asking, is it because a lot of women do not have the skills to be a wife? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? We back at you with another episode of Making a Case, episode 202. I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. We got two channel norms over here. One, we attack points in our people, and then two, we don't do all that cussing and derogatory stuff. We like to keep it professional. The kids watch. All right. Oh, now we're talking about, do women have wife skills, right? Are they wifey material? All right. Now, if you ask for my honest opinion, uh, directly, I would say no, and I'll tell you why I say that. Well, unfortunately, there are a lot of women who are not born or live in a household where they see their mothers as a wife, right? Or see anybody in the household as a wife. And they're not raised to be one. It's more modern. Go to college, don't depend on a man, particularly if you're in a black community, right? This is what we hear. And so the whole notion and idea of being trained as a wife is just out the window, right? In order to be successful as a wife, you need to go through training, right? We don't just automatically become productive and successful men and women, right? Someone has to be there to make sure that we're raised in a certain way, which is why you see a lot of us go astray or, kind of just out there trying to figure out how to be a man and a woman because a lot of us wasn't raised by a man or a woman, a functional one. Let's just say that, right? So it's the same thing with being in a marriage, right? So a lot of times women experience is, and the same thing goes for men, that, well, the first time they really get to experience being a wife is when they get married, right? And so you kind of got to go on the job training, right? And a lot of times that don't always fare too well, which is why a lot of people, are getting divorced, get into another marriage, get divorced, right? So we have multi marriages that people are in, and you think we'll learn from the first one, learn from our mistakes, but people are different, right? So I would say most women, especially those who consider themselves modern women, because the whole traditional woman is a very small percentage. They're not thinking it. A modern woman goes so against what a marriage is supposed to be, right? So a modern woman is thinking about career. She's thinking about self. Even though she may want to be a mother and may be a damn good mother at that, right? But it still goes opposite because it's like, all right, once you have a marriage and have a family, right? Well, where's the hierarchy? Now, if you're a religious person, you should know the hierarchy. I shouldn't have to tell you the hierarchy. But unfortunately, even if most people who are religious these days are not going based off the hierarchy. And so we got a bunch of marriages out there where people are kind of every man for himself. Yes, we putting the kids are our priority, but when it comes to the man and wife, a lot of them are not operating as one. They're supposed to be one, but they're not operating like it. Okay? So we say a lot of stuff. You hear a lot of stuff on social media. You hear a lot of people, a lot of things in books you read, etc. Right? But can you take the information and can you apply it to your life? And I think that's the struggle with a lot of women who saying they want to be a wife, but once it's time to be one, they're not really applying it. Okay? So in this episode, we're going to talk about the reasons why, well, most women may not be wifey material. All right? So without further ado, let's get into our first clip.
Display that you have every quality that a wife should have without doing it all for it. I can show you what I got without giving it to you. For example, as a man who's dating, right? I can show you that I provide infrastructure. I'll plan the whole date. All you got to do is tell me when you're available. If you have any, if you have any dietary restrictions, if you have right, if we talking about protection on the first date, right? I don't like married men. I don't owe you the protection of laying down my life, but I can make sure you actually make it to your door when I drop you off. I can walk closest to the street when we walking on the sidewalk. I can show you that I'm paying attention, that I'm considering you. You feel me? So when you look at the inverse of that and look at what you consider a good wife, you can show a man in the beginning a whole lot of things. I think you can absolutely display.
And it's kind of what I was just talking about, right? It's one thing to be like, oh, I'm a wife. I cook, I clean, I do whatever, right? But are you displaying it though, right? And really, the biggest thing what men are looking for, cooking and cleaning, that's basic. That's what you got to do if you're single. So, like, you can kind of X that off, right? It's do you are you considerate, right? Do you think about me in times where I don't expect you to think about me, right? Are you doing the little things? Are you attentive? Are you a good listener? Right? Do you ask questions? How do you communicate? See, it's a lot of little things that's involved with actually being a wife, right? Because as a wife, you're supposed to be a helpmeet, and that's probably the problem with the mentality of a lot of modern women is they talking about partnerships. So they thinking, oh, this is 50-50, even though when it comes to 50-50 financially, it's like, but ain't you a man, right? You see where thing come confusing. So it's like the biggest thing is you gotta have the mentality in order to be a wife. And do most women have that nowadays? Debatable. All right, let's get into our next clip.
Yeah. Dude. Like, I'm just going to be extremely blunt about that. Most women are not wife material. Most women are not worthy of a long-term relationship. Most women, quite frankly, want you to pay full sticker price for a used-up vehicle. And I don't mean to compare you guys to cars, but it's a very simple analogy. High mileage, yet they want you to pay full price. And I'm telling guys not to do that. The car, the dealer, and women deserve less. Because if I'm going to go ahead and trade in my resources and time for something that's used up, I'm not going to go all the way.
How much less?
Yes, good men are scarce too nowadays too.
Yeah,
it's just
men don't think. Well, hold on. No. Let me correct you. There's plenty of good men out there. The problem is that they're too nice. They're not tall enough. They don't make enough money. They're not attractive enough. They're not ambitious enough. There's plenty of nice guys out there that would love to date you and take you seriously and make you their main girl. But the problem is that most women want a guy that's in the top 2%. Most women are not wife material, dude. Like, I'm just.
And he's correct. Only thing I would say, I wouldn't say that women deserve less or women are not worthy, right? But the part that he's saying as far as what really uneven things, right, even more than they are, right, is the fact that women go after the same group of men, right? So that's the reason why that young lady said, well, there's a small number of good men. No, there's a lot of good men out there. You just don't want them. Because like you said, they're either too short, don't make enough money, not attractive enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So in a lot of women's mind, they're thinking that, well, I'm not going to give my all to a man that I can't see myself long term. I can't see myself really giving my all to, right? So it goes back to that conditional femininity, right? Well, I'll be submissive to the right man, okay? With that mindset, that's not a wife mindset because you're already supposed to be submissive, you're already supposed to be feminine, right? So he who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? You have to be there, okay? So if you're thinking, well, I'm gonna wait until that man comes and scoops me up, my Prince Charming, right? Because let's be real, a lot of women believe in fairy tales, right? Hopeless romantic, all that stuff, right? So it's the mentality that I believe that really keeping a lot of women held back. And not only that, of course, we already talked about is the type of man that they all seeking, right? You're going after the same type of man that every other woman going back, but yet you still want him to be monogamous. That's a whole nother conversation. We're not gonna go down rabbit hole. So let's go on to the next one.
Wifey material. Y'all ready? Let's get into it, family. Number 1, she's attractive to you, even when she's not all the way dolled up. Number 2, she is compromising. Number 3, she is supportive. She's your cheerleader. Number 4, she stimulates you intellectually. Number 5, she's ambitious and hardworking, but you do not feel that you guys are in competition or that she's in competition with you. Number 6, she's empathic, caring, and compassionate. Number 7, she's disciplined. She works to improve herself, keeps her foot on the gas pedal without anyone having to tell her to. Number 8, she is classy. A woman you can take it to any environment and she makes you look good. And it's not just about how she looks. Number 9, she makes you feel special. It ain't all about her. Number 10, she holds herself to a higher moral standard. She takes accountability for her actions. Number 11, she's an effective communicator and knows how to hold a safe space for you. Fine, she's wifey material.
You know, I agree with probably 10 of those 11. The only one that I really didn't agree with was the whole ambitious. Now, I'm not saying that women can't be ambitious, but that is not a trait of a feminine woman, right? Men are very ambitious. It's a masculine trait. So we don't want our woman to be in that masculine. We want her to rest in her femininity at all times, right? So that we can be aligned. So if she's ambitious when it comes to her being in her femininity, then now we're talking, right? But all the other things that she communicative, she holds herself accountable, absolutely, right? That's the trait she mentioned is someone who understands and knows how to compliment a man, right? Because he's going to be aggressive, he's going to be assertive, he's going to be protector, provider, all that stuff, right? And then those traits for her, they just align well, right? Because he's looking for a feminine woman, but she's looking for a leader and a masculine man. And those traits just align perfectly together, okay? That's how you know that a woman is ready to be a wife, okay? If she don't have at least, I would say, 8 out of those 11 traits, you gotta have 8. I might even go, no, I'm gonna stick with 8. If she don't have at least 8 out of those 11, she's not wifey, okay? She got some work to do. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you got some work to do. All right, I got one more clip for you.
I think relationship with God, being religious, her relationship with her mother as well, still spends time with her parents. I think it's important because they're going to guide her in a positive direction. How does she interact with the kids? Does she have that nurturing side to her? Does she have that motherly tendencies? This is like someone who wants to be a mother. Another green flag. Does she want to have a family? Excellent. Does I want to have a family? Relationship with her father, I think relationship with God, being religious, her relationship.
I agree with most of that. You kind of already know my position on religion. I don't think you have to have a relationship with God in order to actually be successful in a marriage. Unfortunately, a lot of people think that marriage is ordained by God. I talk about in my first book how marriage was around long before the conception of monotheism. But that's a whole nother episode. But if you're willing to learn more information about it, go get my first book, drjacobIsom.com. Shameless plug. But absolutely, what is her relationship with her dad? Does she have a dad, right? Do she have any male figures in her life, right? What is her relationship like with her mom? Like, yes, is she nurturing, right? So those are some tendencies because we're just talking about, is she feminine, right? So I think those are some great kind of measuring tools to see, what type of person she would be in the marriage because it's important, as I kind of said in the beginning, like, have she seen a successful marriage? I'm not talking about a dysfunctional one. There's a lot of dysfunctional marriages, right? Has she seen people married for 20, 30, 40 years before? Were her grandparents married? Okay? So has she been around married people? Like, I think that is not saying that that's going to be the end all be all to being successful, is being around it. But it does give you a litmus test to give you an example of kind of how you want to be moving forward in your marriage. All right? So we're going to end the video on that, man. Let me know what do you think about the conversation. Are most women wifey material? Okay. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. Of course, like, share the video, man. It's free for the like. Just click that button, all right? But hey, as always, I'm you and me, love, always love, return. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself, and we out. This is